Well, Donald Trump apparently extended a last-minute invitation to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the summit in Egypt, but Netanyahu canceled, citing a clash in his schedule. According to a Turkish official, he pulled out after pushback from Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and other unknown leaders who didn't want to rub shoulders with Netanyahu in Sharm el-Sheikh. Turkish media report that Erdogan was in a plane when he learned the Israeli Prime Minister might be attending the summit. He apparently refused to land until it was confirmed that Netanyahu would not be coming. Let's get more on this and cross over to our correspondent Dorian Jones in Istanbul. Dorian, let's talk about those reports of Erdogan blocking Netanyahu's attendance at that summit in Egypt. Why was he so desperate to not share a stage with the Israeli Prime Minister?
Well, I think it was domestic politics. For a while, President Erdogan has engaged in extremely fiery rhetoric against the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over his war in Gaza, along with slapping a trade embargo on Israel. He has faced growing criticism from opposition parties who accuse him of hypocrisy. They claim that Turkey is engaging and allowing trade to continue with Israel through third parties, most notably the export of Azerbaijani oil from a Turkish Mediterranean port through third parties to Israel, is one of Israel's main suppliers of energy. Now, I think that criticism has been starting to hurt Erdogan, particularly from conservative parties, which draw from the same electoral base that Erdogan seeks. And I think for Erdogan, he did not want to be in the same room as Netanyahu, or even possibly being forced to shake hands with the Israeli Prime Minister. That would be a disaster domestically for Erdogan. But having said that, despite this fiery rhetoric between the two sides, diplomatic relations have continued between Turkey and Israel. In the run-up to this peace agreement, the intelligence chief of Turkey, Ibrahim Kalın, met with Israeli officials, and was even video showing him purportedly embracing a high-level Israeli official. And I think there is a recognition on Turkey's side that if this peace agreement does continue to gather momentum, that is a big if, then the expectation is relations between Turkey and Israel, the freeze will start to fall very quickly, because Erdogan recognizes if Turkey is to play a role in Gaza, it wants to do that. It will need the Israeli government's cooperation on that. And also in the question of Syria, you have Israeli and Turkish forces in Syria. Turkey recognizes it has to work with Israel to stabilize Syria. That is a key priority of Ankara.
And tell us more about the role Turkey has played in the ceasefire initiative.
Well, according to President Trump, Turkey has played a pivotal role, and the reason why is that Turkey is one of the main supporters of Hamas. Throughout this war, Erdogan has refused to designate Hamas as a terrorist organization. Unlike Turkey's Western allies, he describes it as freedom fighters. And Turkey is widely seen as being the financial hub for Hamas for many of its international financial operations. So Turkey has a great deal of leverage over Hamas, particularly as many key officials are believed to be residing here in Istanbul. And along with Egypt and Qatar working together, they basically forced Hamas into a corner, basically saying, you have nowhere to go, you have to accept this agreement. And that's why I think Trump has been giving so much plaudits to the role of Erdogan along with Egypt and Qatar.
Now, ensuring security in the region is going to be a key issue moving forward. How does Turkey plan to contribute to that?
Well, President Erdogan has indicated that Turkey is ready to take part in any planned security force along with Arab countries in the region. Now, the Turkish military do have a long history of working in different conflict zones, in peace or enforcing operations, security operations, whether it was in Somalia, Afghanistan, the Balkans. They do have this experience of working in these difficult environments. And there is a recognition, even among speaking to Israeli security officials, over the professionalism and expertise of the Turkish military. But key here will be whether the Israeli government sign off on this. There is a lot of animosity between the two leaders. It's going to be a difficult sell probably to Netanyahu to allow Turkish military into Gaza. And I think Trump could possibly play a role. And beyond that, Turkey is looking to play a role in construction as well. A key recognition is that if Gaza is going to move forward, they have to start building quickly. Turkish construction companies have a great deal of expertise of working in difficult situations and working quickly. So I think that Turkey is eyeing to have a major role in Gaza. But the key thing is, can the Israeli government sign off with Turkey playing such a role?
That was DW's Dorian Jones in Istanbul. Thanks for that, Dorian.